/Wayne Dupree Show. Either one of those will work for you. And we're going to open up the phone lines. If you watch the Trump rally tonight and you want to call in, you want to talk about it, the phone number is 202-470-6738. 202-470-6738. We have a special guest coming on. She's going to call in a few minutes, and I'm happy to have her on. I've seen her go through the fire. She goes through the fire with the mainstream media. They sometimes put 2 and 3 people against her on these regular networks. But AJ Delgado is going to be calling in. She's a Trump campaign surrogate who is going to talk to us about the campaign, what's going on with the campaign rules, campaign platform, and everything. So I'm glad that she said that she is going to join us. I've been trying to get her for a long time, and I know she's busy, but with the Trump speech and everything tonight, she decided that she's going to call in a little bit later. Usually everybody's in bed about this time and everything, but she's going to call in a little bit later, and I'm happy that she's going to do that tonight. For those that are joining us via the Right Side Broadcasting Network, what is up? You're watching the Wayne Dupree Show. I'm your host, Wayne Dupree, and we are taking calls tonight, 202-470-6738. You just finished watching the future president of the United States, Donald Trump, speak in Indiana. What do you think about the speech? Who do you think is going to be his vice presidential pick? I know many of you probably thought that Mike Pence was going to be it. I didn't think so. I didn't. No, ain't going to happen. But some of y'all probably gay, well, maybe. Not me. So when you call in, tonight's question is, who do you think is going to be the VP pick? My question to the panel, to Hutch, and also for the Right Side Broadcasting Network, we also have Cam Nelson from California as our co-host, and also Hutch Bailey Jr. Why don't y'all say hey to the Right Side Broadcasting crowd?
Ladies first.
Oh, hey, guys. That was I was trying to catch everybody's comments during the Trump rally, but they go by so fast. But hello, ladies. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. It's going to be interesting, but I have to say I am relieved that he did not pick Pence to be his vice president.
She's already going in. I was
sweating it, y'all. I was sweating it.
Really?
Pence
I really was.
He's not only vanilla. He's like the vanilla that you used to get in school in those little one-serving Dixie cup full of ice cream that hardly had any flavor. I think it was even iced milk. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Good evening, everyone at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and a special good evening to the RSBN chat room moderator.
Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joe in Montana.
Joe, what do you want to talk about tonight? First off, who do you think is going to be the vice presidential pick? Pence, Gingrich, or Christie? Or even a new name?
Yeah, none of the above. It will be Senator Jeff Sessions.
You really think so?
Yeah, because the vice president is also president of the Senate. And having a senator who's been in the Senate for a long time, who's going to be able to know, who to pat on the back, is going to be very valuable in the vice presidency. And also, Mr. Stephen Miller is Jeff Sessions' guy. And you know how close Stephen Miller is, high up in the inner circle. So I think it's Senator Jeff Sessions.
What was your name again?
Joe.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you one question about Sessions. If you take him out of the Senate, of their daily work, who does Trump have in there as an ally?
He probably will have, as much as I hate to say it,
it's hard, right? Paul. It's hard to.
I think Rand Paul.
I don't know. But it's hard to come up with a name if you take Sessions out. You agree?
Right, maybe off the top of my head, because there's a lot of, my Senator Steve Daines, he'd be a great person to work with. So yeah, it would take And also, you take Senator Jeff Sessions off of his committee chair.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing, that when you take that senator out of there, you also take that chair off of whatever committees he's on, and so that's kind of makes him not want to grab a senator. But,
hey, well, look, thank you for your call, though, and keep on checking out on the Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay.
All right. Hey, have a great day.
Thank you, now. Ladies and gentlemen, 202-470-6738, 202-470-6738. That is the call-in line. Who do you think Donald Trump is going to choose for his vice presidential pick? Many people thought it might be Mike Pence tonight. I didn't. I really don't think he's going to go that way. As a matter of fact, I think that this has really been something like an apprentice type of feel. Because yesterday, or day before yesterday, it was Chris Christie, and Chris Christie really gave a great speech for Donald Trump. But then he also had Newt Gingrich in Ohio last week.
But the media destroyed Pence, because everybody in the media for the last 2 days has come out and said that it's a 95% wrap that Pence is going to be the VP. Well, Trump sees that, and he's automatically disqualified, because he's not going to. He knows the media, and he's not going to let the media make his pick for him.
Well, and that's why a lot of people in the media even said it is not wise to come out and talk about who the vice president is, because as you can see, the media is going to latch onto them immediately and start doing as much damage as they possibly can to that person. So some people think that it's wise that he comes out and picks his VP before convention, and a lot of people are saying don't wait till convention, because then you're going to give the media ammunition to use against Donald Trump going into the convention. Let it be a surprise. But we just have a caller just joined us, 630. State your name. Where'd you calling in from?
My name's Mike. I'm calling from Illinois.
Hi, Mike.
Mike, how are you?
Mike from Illinois. How you doing? Who do you think? Who are you choosing as a VP pick for Donald Trump?
Name I keep thinking of is Joni Ernst out of Iowa.
I heard that name, Mike, but I thought she turned it down.
Did she turn it down? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Thing with Newt, I like Newt. He's one of Trump's strongest allies. I'm a little concerned about the age, because they're around the same age, and I think Trump might want to look for somebody a little bit younger. Both he and Newt acknowledge that. I'm a little worried about that, but Newt would probably be my second guy and probably the safest. But the thing with Newt is he's kind of tied to the old guard establishment, and Trump might want to get a well-known conservative that can help rally the conservative vote towards him, especially the ones that are still attached to Cruz and still on the fence about him.
All right. Hey, Mike, thanks for the phone call. We are taking phone calls tonight. We have a special guest coming on, Right Side Broadcast, Right Side Broadcasting Network. Miss AJ Delgado, the lovely lady, Trump surrogate, who is going to be joining us tonight. She's going to be taking our questions. She is firsthand. She knows things. She goes out and she defends the Trump campaign. She also spreads the message of the Trump campaign. And I've seen it, and I know many of you have seen it. Many of you listening on the Spreaker chat have seen her take a lot of abuse. She's taken a lot of abuse on networks I shall not name, CNN. I promise I won't name any of those networks, CNN. But that's just it. I mean, she takes it and she keeps coming. And you really have to give her props for that. You really have to give her props for that. We have another caller. We have another caller on the line. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Paul. I'm in Missouri.
Paul from Missouri?
Yes.
How you doing, Paul? Who is your VP
Doing well.
pick for Mr. Trump?
I have a personal pick, Jeff Sessions, but I don't think it will be him.
Why is that?
I think he'll leave him in the Senate where he.
I agree. What's your second pick?
Yeah, I think that's a smart move.
I honestly think that Trump will pick somebody that nobody has even talked about yet. I think they'll be a surprise for everybody.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, that's totally Donald Trump to do something like that. I mean, the man loves surprises. However, we've been talking before the show and at other times, and I think Newt Gingrich has a way. You're going to have a hostile Congress, both houses, when Trump gets elected. And I think whoever is the vice president, or maybe the chief of staff, he's going to have some people that can really get in there and, for lack of a better term, manhandle Congress if he's going to get any cooperation at all. What do you think about that?
That's very true. I think that's going to be Gingrich's position with the Trump administration, no matter what happens, whether he gets as the VP or just as an advisor.
All right. Well, Paul, thank you for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We have Julie. Julie calling in from D.C. What's up, Julie?
Hello, how you doing?
I'm fine. Speak up into your phone.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, wait,
go ahead.
I'm on speaker. Just a second.
All right.
Does that sound better?
There you go.
Yeah, I was on speaker.
Who is your pick for the vice president for Donald Trump?
I have to say, I guess it's a common thought, Jeff Sessions. But, of course, everybody's forgetting about Chuck Grassley from Iowa. He's also been working on the immigration issue, and he's the one that helped Jeff Sessions get where he is. So the guy that they could fall back on is Chuck, out of Iowa, Grassley. He's been working for E-Verify to get that pushed out there. So they do have another champion in the Senate.
Okay.
It's just Jeff Sessions and him pretty much, work with each other.
I like Jeff Sessions. I think he's strong. I think he's a strong person. But this is what I'm wondering. And I mean, I love Newt Gingrich. I think a lot of people love him. But question is he safe? Is he a safe player? But we got another caller calling in. 646. Where are you calling in from?
Hi, this is AJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, there she is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome my next guest. You have seen her on TV, and most of you Trump supporters know she works with the Trump campaign as a surrogate. You've seen her take heavy fire from 2 and 3 people at the same time, and she still sticks to her guns. Right, okay. Yeah, I can say that. It's my show. So no, but
You're going to be accused of inciting violence.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Ain't that crazy? But no, ladies and gentlemen, our friend Miss AJ Delgado. What's up, lady?
Hello. It's such an honor to be on with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, dear. And look, I want to introduce to you both of our co-hosts, Miss Cambry Nelson out of California.
Hello. Thank you for being on, darling.
Cambry. Thanks for having me. I have to tell you, I showed a friend of mine a few months ago one of the early videos that you posted, and he was like, if Trump supporters look like her, count me in. I was like, all right, buddy. That's something I was saying, okay? So you're doing your part.
And then we also have the godfather of war radio, Mr. Hutch Bailey Jr.
And AJ, you are doing your part too. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm doing well and just glad that you could be on the program tonight.
No, thanks for having me. This is a real joy to join you.
AJ, I know that, I'm going to get the question out in front because everybody wants to know. And even though you might not know, but who is Mr. Trump picking for vice president?
Oh, I should tell you I don't know. So I'm not trying to be. None of us really does. So I would have to tell you though, my prediction, if I had to make one, I'm leaning towards. I think it'll be Newt.
Okay. All right.
And that's just gut instinct, but I really don't have an inclination one way or another on this. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I've been saying for a while, AJ, that I think Newt is probably the best person for the job out of the names that we are hearing. I used to think Jeff Sessions was, but the more that I saw the toxic environment of Congress versus Donald Trump and nobody really wanted to come out and support him and stuff, I'm like, he's going to need that bridge in the Senate, because I really I don't see any friend of his in the Senate right now that's willing to push or support what he's doing, and he's going to need somebody who can be that bridge, who that voice of reason to go in. And I think it would be a real detriment to take Jeff Sessions out of the Senate. How about you, Hutch?
No, I agree. I think he needs all the firepower that he can get in the Senate, and I think one of the most. I'm not a real big proponent of the vice presidential pick being a real draw when it comes to votes. I think that it's you're voting for the president of the United States. Nobody's voting for the vice president. At least I never did. So I think you have to look past the election and who can be somebody that's going to be loyal to you, which Donald Trump requires, and somebody who is going to help you push your agenda forward. And so, therefore, although I don't like saying it, we need somebody that is aware of all of the machinations that happen in both houses of Congress and with the judiciary. And, you know, really, I know that in the chat room it's not as popular as maybe it is here in the panel, but I think Newt Gingrich is an expert in that line of work. I think he would be good. And even if he's not selected as the vice president, somebody who is even probably a little more influential would be the chief of staff position. I mean, that's a position that controls who gets to see the president and everything else. So something in those two lanes would be something that would fit Newt's his resume, I think.
I agree with you, definitely. Well, the one thing about, I love Alan West. I love that power. I love that punch. I love that he has strength, and I love that people respect him and people fear him. That's what I love. That's what I think we need in a vice president. But also, definitely with Newt, I love Newt Gingrich. But I think this election, and touch on this a little bit, AJ. I think in this election, typically we don't look at the vice president on making a decision, but we are in a different year. This is 2016, like an election we have never had before, and right now we are playing seesaw with the Bernie Sanders, with the moderates, with some liberals, and with some libertarians. And I think a lot of people are looking at Donald Trump's vice presidential pick to actually see if it's the whole package. I think this year, from what I'm seeing and from what I'm understanding and listening to people, they're looking at the whole package. So it's a little bit different. Are you seeing that on your end? I mean, I know you're on television a lot and they hammer you, but are you seeing the vice president being such an impact type player going into the general election this year specifically?
Absolutely. That's spot on. I think we need a strong VP pick, even though, as Hutch said, you don't normally vote. You're not voting for the VP. But we need someone who will soften Trump's image or some of the reservations that some of the independent voters have about him. And Gingrich is somebody who can do that because, for instance, he does appeal to that, maybe even to that never Trump crowd in the establishment that's been weary of Trump this entire season. That's somebody that could bridge that gap. So I do think in this election, specifically, there is a need for someone who's going to complement Trump and not so much for us to hope that it's a pick that is exactly like Trump. For instance, on immigration, my choice would be Sessions because that's somebody that we could trust on immigration who's really going to push that agenda through. Newt is a little softer on immigration, as we may remember from 2012, but he's a good counterpart. He balances Trump in some areas. So it all depends what school of thought you buy into. Should the VP candidate be as much like the presidential candidate as possible, or should he be somebody that balances him in certain areas where Trump may be seen as weak? For instance, Trump doesn't have experience in Congress. Newt has it and then some. So in that sense, he's a very strong pick. So it's I think it comes down, and my personal choice is I want somebody that balances him, that might bring in people who had reservations about Trump. And I think Newt might do that with certain groups that otherwise have had some doubt.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are interviewing Miss AJ Delgado, one of Mr. Trump's best surrogates. I call her one of Trump's best surrogates because I like the way that she stands firm when she's attacked. And it seems like, I'm not going to call any networks out, CNN, but I mean, really, I'm just, you know me, I'm trying to be sweet. So, I'm not going to call out CNN, the network, but these Democrats seem to be pulling the race card a whole lot earlier this year than in the election than they have in past elections. They've been trying to push that narrative on Mr. Trump, and AJ, you know it, and I know it, and God knows it, that Mr. Trump is not racist. But once you get that stuff thrown at you, you really need to do something to get it off or to answer it. What is the campaign doing to take care of this liberal narrative?
Well, really stressing Trump's policies is the way to go. For instance, his position on immigration is really what's going to help African Americans in particular and working class Latinos, like the people in my community and my family and friends, get jobs back, which is all we want. So how can you say someone's a racist, really? There is zero indication of that. On the contrary, this is somebody that years ago fought, for instance, to get blacks and Jews into country clubs on Palm Beach. Really, his policies, let's look at his policies, what the man does, what the man stands for. At the end of the day, it's those policies that will help the minority community. But they don't want to talk facts. They don't want to talk politics. They want to go to the lowest common denominator slur of he's a racist because he wants a wall with Mexico. That doesn't even make sense. He's a racist because he wants a temporary ban on Muslim immigration or on immigration really from countries that have terrorism issues, if we're going to be exact about it. That's not racist. That's about national security. But they want to, it's as you said, the narrative. Let's just focus it on what he said and that certain people are feigning outrage over it. And let's bring this person on who's going to say how they're just horrified and livid that Donald Trump has said this. But let's not talk facts. Let's not talk his history. Let's not talk his platform and how that's really going to help the minority communities. So I think what the campaign is doing is let's stick with the platform and the policies and let African American, let Muslim, let Latino voters decide for themselves who's the best candidate.
Right.
Well, you're on the flip side of all this. I mean, you're on the side of media that everyone gets really frustrated. And we've had somebody else on, one of our friends, and I'm not going to mention the name, that is definitely on air a lot, and talks about the disconnect because you talk about the policies, you always redirect everybody, try to get them in the right direction while they're trying to push their own narrative. And they said that there's a disconnect between the media and the American people, and I actually called them out. There's no disconnect. There's a propaganda. There is an agenda, and it's being used through the mainstream media, and they're trying to push their narrative, not the truth. How much of a fight do you really have to put up on your end, knowing that the media knows the truth? There is no disconnect. And the American people aren't buying it anymore because we can only be called racist and bigots for so long.
So many times.
Yeah, so I mean, what's the chatter on the inside when you get into the more leftist mainstream media? Is this just propaganda for show, but there's different chatter when you're off air?
You're absolutely right that there isn't a disconnect. That's being generous and overly kind. You're spot on that it's deliberate. Because when you have the media deliberately misquoting what he said, for instance, we saw this with the quote-unquote Muslim ban. He never said he wanted to ban Muslims from immigrating to the U.S. He said he wanted a temporary ban on certain immigration until we figure things out. So they can't be that stupid. Come on, these are smart people that work in media for the most part. They're deliberately distorting it because it is a propaganda effort. It's not just ignorance and caused by a disconnect. And part of what we see, and you alluded to it, Wayne, with CNN in particular, I've had a frustrating experience with in the sense of I keep wondering why it is they don't have more minority Trump supporters on. And in fact, I was arguing with somebody in media about this, and I brought up your name, Wayne. He said, well, where are all these minority Trump supporters they could have on? I said, well, there's Wayne Dupree. There's the entire National Diversity Council, I believe it's called, that was set up, that all supports Donald Trump, all of whom are minorities. How often are they invited on? I'm usually only invited on if there's a Latino angle. And then if there isn't, twice they've uninvited me because it's no longer. I'm sitting there going, I could speak about other issues as well, right? So I wonder, I'm hopeful. I give people the benefit of the doubt, including networks. Maybe they're just lazy about who they book, or I don't know, but we are out there, minority Trump supporters. They're smart, poised women like Cambry that they can have on. And they seem to go out of their way to kind of avoid showing who the face really is of Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I have to commend the Right Side Broadcasting Network. They just started recently to pan the audience. And I'd ask you, AJ, are there any plans afoot, or do you think it would be a good idea for maybe the campaign to try to, Rand Paul had some success, limited success, going into minority venues and holding an event that's, broadcast in, a minority, I don't know, a college or an inner city or something of this nature, where when they start panning the crowd, you could start seeing the Trump supporters that we know are in every minority community. I mean, every single demographic in this country has a portion, and some very large portions, of Trump supporters and people that really do want to make America great again and really understand the detriment to the lower strata of the labor force, I don't want to say unskilled, but the lower skilled workers that are being displaced by these illegal aliens that in some cases are not even fluent in their own language, let alone English.
Right, and I actually wrote about that over 2 years ago in National Review. I wrote an article on how amnesty, the number one victim of amnesty is African Americans, because they're the ones who are displaced from their jobs. And that's something that the Democrats and the left never want to mention. It's an inconvenient fact. But going back to what you said about showing who the supporters are, it really isn't even necessary to go into certain neighborhoods. When Trump comes to major cities, or even cities like San Jose, you see, if you're honest and you make an effort, if you're a camera person, to just show wide angle of the crowd, you see their minorities there. You see their Latinos, sometimes even with signs in Spanish saying, yo apoyo a Trump, I support Trump. I saw this at the rally in Miami. There were people of all ages, all races. And so, but the media then, when they have the Trump supporters that they get to book, to come on, they want to avoid showing that. They'll only show you what they want you to think a Trump supporter is, which is strictly a Caucasian person, which, of course, yes, that's the majority of America, but we also come in all colors and facets, and they want to avoid that. Even though going to a rally, you'll see for yourself, it's a rainbow of people that support him.
You know what's really bad about the media is, AJ, they will quickly throw out a poll where they'll say, well, Trump only has 0.5% of the black support, when they won't go out on the street and do a legit man on the street and ask people as they walk up and down the street, do you want Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump? Who do you want? And just like you said, there are many black supporters out there, many Latino supporters, but CNN or MSNBC or the rest of the alphabet liberal stations, they will not bring them on to talk or to show that Donald Trump has that support. And I mean, honestly, I'm glad that they have you on there. But I mean, very rarely do they have Katrina Pearson and Gianna Caldwell is on One American News. But the media don't want black people on. CNN doesn't want black people. AJ, they don't want black people to come out. Don Lemon doesn't want to go toe to toe with a black Donald Trump supporter. He really doesn't. He really doesn't. So there it is there. But I hear that the wall is now part of the GOP platform, AJ. There we go. There we go.
Cheers all around.
Yeah, the wall is something that's going to be put up. Well, it's on a GOP platform, and that's something that Donald Trump wanted. And if we go back nine months ago, that's something that he came out forcefully. He came out forcefully, and he captured a lot of voters. He captured a lot of hearts, a lot of people's passions with that, because they saw their jobs leaving. 95 million people out of work. Over 50-some million people are on food stamps. And now, AJ, it really hurts me that nobody's marched on Washington because of this. But at least Donald Trump is saying, you know what, we have to put a stop to this illegal immigration thing right now. We got to do the wall. What do you think about that? What the party platform or what the GOP Rules Committee did?
Well, I'm thrilled to hear that they did, and it was sponsored. It was brought up by Chris Kovac, a man I'm a huge fan of during the Gang of Eight fight. Look him up, support him, follow him on Twitter. He was tremendous. So thank you to Mr. Kovac for that. Two things about the wall, though, that I really want your viewers to make a note of is if anyone tells you that they're offended by the idea of the wall when you're discussing this election with them, make sure you bring up, and I will tweet the link. Hillary Clinton in 2006 gave an interview with the New York Daily News, so 10 years ago, not that long ago, where she was in favor of a wall.
I saw that. You're right. You're right. I saw that video. Yep.
So if anyone brings that up, to say, well, Hillary was in favor of that. So moving on to the next topic, and also about the wall, when they bring up, well, it's racist, it's prejudice. Esquire magazine recently sent, I believe, their editor-in-chief. He went down to talk to people who live on the wall, along the wall, many of whom are Latino. And he said the most interesting thing he found was that the Latinos, more than any other group who live in that area, are in favor of a wall. This should be common sense.
You have to understand, I'm from Dallas. So, I understand exactly what you're talking about. My family lives down there on the border in the valley in anyways. But, I know exactly what you're talking about. I saw that video, too, but I also want to ask you, because you're an attorney, right now, we have the Rules Committee in place in Cleveland, and a lot of people and a lot of chatter, and I know this is brought up in the media just to keep, conversation going. But, we saw recently that Virginia sided with the Never Trump people to possibly unbound these delegates for the first ballot. What do you think is going to happen? Right now, I'm thinking anything can happen up until next week. That doesn't mean they're going to be mission accomplished. But what do you think when it comes to what their agenda is over the next week going into Monday into the convention? Do you think that the Never Trumpers are going to try to make some moves, some sly moves?
No. That's one thing I can say with certainty is Trump will be the nominee. Mm-hmm. The major rules are set; those can't be changed. Trump has the delegates. Anything that the media says, about Virginia, they're misreading that, by the way. Anything they say that there's still a chance that something might happen is complete clickbait and just talk to continue to hammer at Trump. Trump is going to be the nominee. There won't be anybody else, and nothing's going to happen at convention other than many happy Trump supporters coming together and hopefully bringing some doubters to our side. But that'll be it. He's the nominee. That you can take that to the bank.
Yeah, well, that sounds excellent. That sounds great. AJ, I'd like to bring us to current events for a moment. Cam just alerted me to a situation to where there's going to be a day of rage protest on July 15th across several cities, one of which is mine, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump recently proclaimed himself, accurately, I think, the law and order candidate. How is that going, and is he planning to really double down on that? Because I think that is the best winner situation he has right now in these days of chaos that we're seeing.
Right, it's that and it's national security, which is really kind of tied together. He actually absolutely should hammer that home, and really he doesn't even need to, because I think the voters are seeing that for themselves. We're living in a very unique time in American history where things can get really ugly really fast if we don't stem the tide and stop what's happening. And really, when you have Hillary Clinton tweeting, even after what happened in Dallas, that these were peaceful protesters, etc., you have people that are on the fence going, oh, wait a minute, maybe I got to go with the other guy. This is dangerous. At this point, the liberal approach towards what's happening has become outright dangerous. And so whether Trump does bill himself as that type of candidate, as a law and order candidate, which he is, or doesn't, it doesn't really make a difference, because I think the voters are seeing that. It's so obvious that you'd have to be living under a rock to not think between the two, that's the guy. If that's your priority, and it should be, keeping yourself and your family safe, you know who you have to vote for.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have AJ Delgado, Donald Trump's surrogate and spokesperson, and
I guess we all are. I guess the surrogates
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you speaking for him, and you carry that message, and you're doing a great job. So, before I let you go, you're going to be in. Well, of course you are. You're going to be in Cleveland next week. Yes.
I am. Yes.
Okay. So we are going to see each other and give each other a ninja hug, and then you're going to sit down with us and talk with us at on Radio Row. Is that okay?
You got it. Absolutely.
Okay, great. How can people reach out to you on social media?
On Twitter, I'm pretty engaged on Twitter, and I also have an About Me page with an email address where you could reach me. I read all my emails and try to get back to people. I just want to say thanks to all the viewers for being so engaged in the Trump movement, and keep posting on social media, keep talking to your family and friends, keep wearing your Trump gear when you go to the supermarket. All of that makes a huge difference. You wouldn't even know, but you are changing hearts and minds. And stay positive and be civil, and continue to do the best you can to bring more and more people into this movement we have.
There we go. Hey, AJ, you have a great night. Thank you for taking the time out to come on the show, and we will see you next week.
Great. The honor has been mine. Thank you.
Thank you, dude.
They look forward to meeting you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're opening up the phone lines again, 202-470-6738, 202-470-6738. What you just heard was AJ Delgado, beautiful young lady for the Trump campaign. You see her on CNN. Again, I can't stress enough how many attacks that she gets. They can't debate her one-on-one. They can't talk to her. From host to just AJ, y'all talk, they have to bring on 2 and 3 people to load off on her. And basically, I mean, they've been doing that to us for a long time. They're trying to make us look small. They're trying to make us look weak, but AJ stands up to them. Now, there are some out there that are weak. I'm not talking about on the Trump campaign. I'm talking about within the Republican Party.
Oh, boy.
That are weak, and they wilt. I mean, when the wind blows, they fall down.
All of them did.
But see, the thing is, Hutch, they don't bring us on there. Can you imagine CNN trying to take Cam down? Really? Seriously?
I think it'd be hilarious. I'd be like, are you serious? Is that all you got? And you wonder why people don't believe a word that you just said? I mean, I would be smart aleck, though. I really would be.
Ladies and gentlemen, and then can you imagine them trying to take the godfather of war radio down, Hutch Bailey Jr.? Can you imagine them trying?
You just asked me about my wife 3 wives ago. Are you serious? Just kidding, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's not. I mean, that's why I'm not on. That's why they don't want me on. And there's another thing that's happening too. And I want to tell y'all the truth about this. They don't want black news people on these networks unless they're talking about black issues. They don't think we can talk.
That's so right.
They don't want us talking about anything else. They don't want to talk. They don't want us talking about foreign policy. They don't want us talking about education, which is real important within the minority community. They don't want. No, they just want to bring us on. Or they want to bring on a select few.
I mean, that Marcus, what's that Marcus Hill's guy's name?
They call him a doctor.
Yeah, he's a PhD.
Yeah,
him and the lady with the tampons in her hair.
Yeah,
their entire resume is race studies.
Yeah.
How about studying something that benefits the entire country, and then come on and give your educated opinion on that?
Race studies, and they continue to get it wrong. They continue to get it wrong. Everybody knows. Go ahead, Cam.
Look at Essie Cup. Essie Cupp is on CNN, and her degree is in art. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, and that's where they probably wouldn't want me on television. If she said something, I'd be like, "Are you serious? Did you learn that in art class?" I mean, for real. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and this is the whole ploy behind media. Is if you're good at talking, then I'm not an expert. I'm not going to claim to be an expert.
Exactly.
But I'm not stupid.
No,
I am definitely not stupid, and I can see stupid when I hear stupid. But common sense is very simple to understand and realize it. But this is what we're dealing with, guys. It's kind of, it's humorous now. That's why I can laugh at the media sometimes and not get mad at them.
Look,
I'm not with it. Go ahead, sir.
I'm not an expert either. I'm not an expert on a whole lot of these issues. What I have is passion, and what I have is experience. And some of the experts that you do have on, they mess up. They screw up. Look at all the people that y'all continue to see on TV right now, and they've been saying that Donald Trump wasn't going to make it. Donald Trump wasn't going to run. Donald Trump wasn't going to get past here. Donald Trump wasn't going to raise the money.
Oh yeah.
Look at all these experts.
Some of the kings. I mean,
these experts are having They're having attitudes on air because
I haven't seen
they're
George
so wrong.
Will on Fox News for about a month.
George Will sucks.
He's done though. Have you seen him on? He hasn't been on.
You know why, don't you?
He said he's going to be a Democrat now or an independent, whatever he said.
That preparation H is kicking in.
Again.
That preparation H is kicking in for him. I mean, seriously, George Will and the rest of these people, they're the old side.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Kathy from Southern California.
Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
I'm great.
I'm kind of fired up a little bit. George Will and everything.
I am too. I was listening to you folks, and I liked what AJ had to say, and I wanted to throw my 2 cents in for the VP pick.
Okay. Who you got?
Well, I was listening closely this evening again to Donald Trump's speech, and he was talking again about taking the lumps out. I don't think any of the folks that you mentioned are the one. I think it'd be Huckabee.
You know, somebody else said that last night. I don't know whether they were serious. Oh, yeah, that's right. I asked them, were they serious? Are you serious?
I am serious because he's been pretty loyal to Trump from pretty much the get-go since the day he stepped on stage with him at that VA benefit.
Okay. All right. I mean, okay, Kathy. You know, believe me, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't know about anybody else on the panel, but it seemed like he's been at a distance, though. I mean, he really didn't endorse Trump.
Oh, yes, he has. I think he has. He's been pretty much on his side since the get-go.
Did he come out and say, I endorse him?
I don't know that for sure, but right. I think Newt is probably a player, but I think he's maybe more suited for Secretary of State.
Okay.
I like him for Chief of Staff, and I don't want to alienate you, but...
No.
It's hard for a lot of people to take Huckabee seriously. I mean, just the nature of the show that he had on and some of the mannerisms of him. Do you really think that Mike Huckabee could stand up to Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, and the people that are in Congress, that it's the only life they know, and if they go against their donors, they're going to have problems?
He was a governor, though.
Well, I think the reason I like, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to be the very best pick, but I think what I like about him is the fact that everybody does like him.
Right.
He doesn't alienate anybody.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing about Huckabee, and thank you for calling in, sweetheart. I love Huckabee. He is, to me, I think Trump really needs to utilize him, even if he doesn't, if he's not on the pick for VP, because Mike Huckabee is almost like that grandpa that everybody just loves him because he's got that grandpa type of nature. But we got a caller on the line, 308. Where are you calling in from?
Nebraska.
Jane. Hey, Jane. How are you doing, darling?
I'm doing fine, thank you. I'm just calling to let you know I'm a big Trump fan. Can't get enough of the Donald.
Who do you want for VP?
Well, I'm kind of thinking Flynn.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Michael Flynn, or the General Flynn.
Yes.
You know, the reason I like him, and I don't think he didn't pass muster, unfortunately. He came out and he was initially for, I don't want to say for, but he wasn't against abortion enough. But you know what? When I listened to him talk, he understood what the 50-meter target was. He understood what the immediate danger to the existence of the United States was.
And that's why...
And he said that.
Yeah, and that's why Barack Obama didn't like him.
Sure.
That's why Barack Obama didn't like him. But then I can see him as, in charge of the military. I can see him in that type of role.
I agree with you.
And because he's that rock. He's that rock that we need.
Yeah, we need another rock in there.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jane.
Thank you
for the call. Nebraska in the house. We got Carmen from Indiana. What's up, Carmen?
Hi.
How you doing? How you doing?
I apologize. Okay, for VP?
Yep.
I think probably Alan West.
Alan West, I would say.
I love Alan West.
I would say if Alan West was, honestly, if he was being vetted, you would know. We would know, wouldn't we? Don't you think? We would know?
I think we would know, but if he's going to throw a left hook, you never know.
Yeah, but Trump is good for surprises.
Okay. All right.
So I appreciate you letting me voice it, though. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, Carmen. Thank you so much for calling in. 202-470-6738. Alan West. What do y'all think about Alan West?
I love Alan West.
Former congressman?
My first pick.
He was your first one, Hutch?
He was and still is.
Oh, man, I love him.
Still is, but I don't think that... I think he lost a lot of luster when he lost his congressional seat.
Let me ask you both then, because... we've had Alan West on the show, and we'll try to get him back in the next couple weeks. But what state does he bring? What does he bring to the table in the way of votes?
I don't think he brings anything to the table. I don't even know what state he's living in. I think he's living in
Texas.
He's in Dallas.
Texas now.
Yeah, he's in Texas now.
And
he's in Dallas. He's got a big ministry.
If you wanted him, I don't think you would want him for that reason. I think you would want him for the courage that he has, which is actually why Donald Trump is where he is today.
Mm-hmm.
He is where he is today because of his courage. He has not been afraid of any media, any Republicans. He hasn't been afraid of anything. And he was allowed, or he was able to do that because he had his own finances. He didn't have to kowtow to anybody. And I think the American people really respond to that. When you saw this plethora of the people in politics just bombarding him and him sticking his chest out and saying, oh no, we're doing this my way, and he won, America just rallied to that. That's what Americans want. They want somebody that's courageous, more so than ideological.
No, you're right. That's what America wants, and right now that's what America needs. And we keep talking about all these amazing potential picks. This just kind of lets me know I want to go Trump. Let's get these guys to speak. We need the Alan West to speak at these events. We need the Mike Huckabees to speak at these events. We need Sheriff Clark to speak at these type of events. But we got another caller. 920, where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Wisconsin. This is Ben. What a great show tonight. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
And I gotta say, Newt is my favorite because he will stand up to Trump and say, no, this is right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. No.
But Alan West, all these other picks they're great.
Hey, Ben, Ben, let me ask you something about what you just said, because we were talking about before the show started. In the way of, because, well, the names right now are Gingrich, Pence, and Christie. There's something, let me know if you agree with me. There's something that I said that Gingrich is the only one of those three that could sit on the same level as Donald Trump as a partner, and kind of throw some stuff back at him, saying, no, that's not going to work. Listen, I know the House, I know the Senate, I know both, I know the rules up and down, I know who. Okay, but
that's exactly it.
I just don't see Christie or Pence in that type of role. Christie or Pence would be more like a subject type, and that's not taking anything away from them, but they would be like in a follower type position, right? You agree with me on that?
And exactly. That's exactly what the whole key to it is Gingrich will come in and say, no, we can't do that. This is how you have to follow. You have to play by the rules. And the rules are already in place. And like you say, he's played by the rules, so he knows what's in place. Right. And Trump, as much as we love him, will push those rules. However, he knows boundaries. He knows how to be smart.
Right.
He knows that there's guidelines, and he's looking for somebody who's smart in the role of setting other, like, tell me, okay, can we do this or can't we? Right? Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right on that. And Newt has come out and said things about Trump like, I don't like this.
Right,
I don't agree with this.
Right.
And that's what he needs. Trump needs that in a way.
I thought the same thing. Hey, thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, one of the things that he just touched on too is the way that Donald Trump is he likes to be challenged as well, but he also has to respect the one challenging him, because when you have that type of mindset of being such a genius like he is, he has to respect somebody so much that he would enjoy and he would appreciate and respect Newt more for actually pushing him and challenging him on different type of issues. So I can see how that would work beautifully. But actually, we got another call on the line, 715. Where are you calling in from?
Yes, hello. This is Mandy Bartles, and I'm calling from Wisconsin.
Hi, Mandy. How
Mandy.
you doing, darling?
I'm doing great, by the way, and I'm watching live from RSBN. It's a wonderful site, and I wanted to thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, dear.
We love your show.
Mm-hmm.
I first of all want to welcome all Bernie supporters to RSBN.
Yes.
Come over here, and for those that are undecided and those that have been disappointed by what Bernie Sanders has done to them today, endorsing Hillary and everything that they just don't believe in. Welcome. So I wanted to talk about. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk about two issues. One is I wanted to talk about illegal immigration, and the other one is what I call is trying to call it as racism.
Okay, let's if you can though, Mandy, we do have to get to a couple more calls, but I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk and get those on the table. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit about illegal immigration. So, if people can understand really what illegal immigration is, I'm going to give you an example. I'm from an Eastern descent. I'm originally from India, but I was born and raised in Africa, and I've lived in Canada. I've lived in Saudi Arabia. I've lived in the UAE. I've lived in Europe, in Canada, and the U.S. And I'm currently, an American citizen here. So I can basically tell you what illegal immigration is. I lived in the Congo. My father was a third-generation Indian. Third generation, mind you. Not first, not second, but third. And I would be their fourth generation. I was not allowed to be a legal immigrant of the Congo, which is called Zaire. Was called Zaire, now called Congo. Now that's Africa. When we left Africa, there was a coup. So we left Africa and we essentially went to Canada. When we went to Canada, we did not go to Canada as refugees. We went there as citizens, as British citizens. We held a British passport. When we went there, we had to have $250,000 in cash. That's back in 1970 to become permanent citizens. What I'm trying to say, go ahead.
No, I really appreciate your call. I see exactly where you're going here because we're hearing this from so many people. And Mandy, I appreciate it because your story is what so many people actually relate to and they're fighting for today is so many people have to, like she was saying, they have to give up all of their money, all of their possessions to be allowed to leave the country that they're living in to try to go to another country. So I know what she is saying. She's talking about the struggles of what people go through. It's like my partners, my business partners in Jamaica. They have to put up all of their land, all of their cars, all of their possessions, and pay $150 to try to get a visa to come to America because they're afraid they're not going to come back to Jamaica. So people sacrifice and give up their lives, they give up their land, they give up everything to come here. And that's why she sees and frustrates her for the illegals coming over because of what her family had to sacrifice. So,
right, and absolutely, and Canada, I understand. Canada is a vast country. Canada is the second largest country in the world. Their population is minuscule compared to the U.S. They accept refugees, but not as much as we do, and they don't have that many illegal immigrants.
Hey, Mandy, we're running out of time, and I want to thank you for your call. Thanks for calling. We appreciate it. Call back anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Wayne Dupree program. It's getting kind of late, Wayne. Who do you think is going to be the VP pick?
You know what? There is one thing that I did want to say about the pick. And the pick is going to be either Thursday or Friday. And I think that's strategic because, you end it the week, a few days before the convention. It gives people... you're taking over the cycle now. You're taking over Saturday and Sunday. I dare to think that Hillary Clinton is going to come out with a VP pick on Saturday or Sunday. So Republicans are going to rule Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all of next week. Now, I hear that Kankles is going to be giving a speech at the NAACP meeting next week on the 18th, which really doesn't mean anything to me. But I wonder if they're going to invite Donald Trump to speak because usually they have both presidential candidates to come and speak. So I wonder if they're going to have Donald Trump to come to speak to the NAACP. I haven't heard anything about it, but there is nothing that Hillary Clinton can say to the NAACP that is going to be different from the bull crap that she's been giving them for the last 30 years. There's nothing. There's no new ideas. There's nothing. She's a liar. She's a thief. She's a killer. She's all those things wrapped up into one. She cannot help the black community. She doesn't have any type of focus or vision or anything for the black community, or she would have been helping them over the last 30 years.
She doesn't want to help.
She's a failed candidate. She's a failed senator. She's a failed wife. She's a failed thief. She's just a failure in anything that is out there right now. And for her to stand in front of that black community next week with pandering, and I hope to God that she don't talk about no damn hot sauce. Okay, because that's not even funny. That's not even funny.
I really took offense when she started saying that she was going to talk to white people. It's like, lady, you don't have any experience in the white community. Let alone the black community.
Oh my God, she better not say that crap in front of the NAACP. Oh, well, we as white people need to stand in your shoes.
Know she is.
She better not. She better not.
She's in no ways tired.
I tell you what, Cam. If she fixes her little old cranky lips to say that, then I think we should leave the GOP convention and walk on over to the NAACP convention.
She's going to be right there.
I know.
She's going to be in the same town. I'm down to go over.
Doesn't even make sense. I mean, boy, Donald Trump, get on her quick, because I'm loading up. I'm loading up.
She's going to dress differently. She's going to talk differently. Just like when she gets to Arkansas, she goes, "Hi, y'all." Whatever, you fake.
Yeah,
here we go. Put the whole persona on. Which Hillary's coming out next week?
She's probably going to wear a dashiki to the NAACP. She's probably
She's going to have Jordans on, right? She's going to be wearing the Jordans.
A dashiki and Jordans. Sitting up there.
Sauce on them.
Yeah. You know, look, I ain't got time for no damn Hillary Clinton. I'm tired of her, man. I'm tired of her. I'm tired of her little AIDS-looking husband too. I'm tired of both of them.
He's horrible.
I'm tired of both of them. And what? All right, let me calm down. I'm serious.
With John Lewis online and
John Lewis
playing the dozens.
John Lewis. Let me tell you something about John Lewis too, and Elijah Cummings and the Congressional Black Caucus. We don't need them. We don't need them. They're just in there serving tea. I call them part of the Motisa tribe. That's right. I call them all the members of the Congressional Black Caucus. I call them the Motisa tribe because all they doing is serving tea to their little white masters. And notice, you know what? Oh my God! Let me calm down.
Motisa.
Let me calm down. But look,
I forgot about that, Wayne.
You like that, don't you?
I do.
The Congressional Black Caucus is somebody in the white liberal media, the white liberal leadership, is speaking to a couple members of the black leadership in Congress, and they're saying, "Well, why don't y'all go out there and do this?" Knowing that they can't. Nancy Pelosi isn't going to sit her old tail down on the floor of the House, which I thought was the stupidest thing. They got seats in the House and they gonna sit on the floor. They know some of those old people can't get.
Can you imagine the sounds it made when they tried to get up?
All right, let me get up from here. Yeah. Well, I gotta go to the back, and then they had a little buffet outside the door. Cam, don't you be laughing with no mute on.
I was muted.
I know you were muted. I know.
I'm over here laughing because you're talking about Pelosi, and I'm like, oh Lord, that woman's a dingbat, man. She's just like, hi.
What's
her
the
eyes are always awake.
What's the white guy that was third in command? That's still there, and they wouldn't give Lewis the car.
No, you're talking about Silas Clyburn.
Or Clyburn, yeah.
Silas. I call him Silas because
where'd he go?
Silas Clyburn, black number 2, or the top black person in the House of Representatives, could have been the number 2 behind Nancy Pelosi in 2012. I think it was 2012 or 2008.
But she rejected him for the white guy.
But she wanted Steny Hoyer. Because
Steny Hoyer, that's his name. Gave them both cars, right?
They created an office for Silas. Well, his real name is James, but since he took the deal, he's a pimp slave just like all the rest of them. So
because he was the real number 2.
Yeah,
he was the guy that was supposed to get it.
He would have got it, but Nancy Pelosi talked him into. We're gonna create a new position. It's not gonna have no power though, but we're gonna give you your office. We're gonna give you a chauffeur, and we're gonna give you a car. And he was like, "Oh yes, ma'am. I'll take that, man. Yes,
it's a Cadillac. Okay,
oh, yeah, I'll take that.
Unbelievable.
You know, whatever, man. Liberals, y'all, man. I can't wait. But then again, let's look at the Republican side. Let's look at the Republican side.
Oh, no doubt.
Y'all promised that y'all were going to do something in Congress. You did. Put us in. Elect us. Put us in, baby. Right. Put us in. Oh, man, you give us a Republican House or a Republican Senate, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do that. And y'all ain't done crap. Y'all haven't done nothing except pass all these high spending bills, and y'all made us look stupid.
Absolutely.
Y'all made us voters look stupid. All we did was put our votes behind you. We believed you, and all you went. I mean, John Boehner got the hell out of there. And then y'all, the conservative movement, which I was kicked out of, at least they say that I was kicked out of. But the conservative movement wanted to push Paul Ryan. I said, don't do it. I got tweets and Facebook posts that don't put Ryan in that role. He told you he didn't want to be there. And now he's just doing everything to show you that he didn't want to be in there in the first place.
Why are the Democrats even complaining? They're getting everything they want. Well, I mean, what's their platform? They should be like, leave it how it is.
They're
because
babies.
This year, the Republicans, the Congress is passing more bills than they ever have. This is the fastest. They're coming right across, signing off. I've read a whole article. What are they upset about? Just guns? They should be happy. They're getting their way on everything.
Almost
so why are they
everything.
complaining?
Yeah, they're babies. They all need bigger pacifiers. That's what I think. They all need bigger pacifiers. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Wayne Dupree Show here on the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We came on a little bit later tonight because of Donald Trump's speech. And I know many of you out there support Donald Trump. You want him to be the next president. You see the attacks that he's taken. Who else out there would have been able to take all these attacks? Who else out there would have been able to stand against the Democratic leadership, the DNC, the liberal media, the Democratic super PACs, the Republican super PACs, some of the GOP party leadership, some of the conservative media websites? Who would have been able to do that? Do you really think Ted Cruz would have been able to withstand all of that? And he's farther to the right. Do you think that he? Oh my God, he probably would have been.
We lost half of our staff.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, we did.
I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, this is something that it's amazing, and we picked the right side.
Yeah, we did.
This guy's going to go forward with your help, and we just happen to have a caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Jason Thornton. I'm calling from Claremont, Florida.
How you doing, Jason? Who is your pick for vice president?
Well, I like Sessions, but I realize he's needed in, on the floor. But I'd have to say Flynn or probably Newt.
All right. Okay. What else do you want to talk about?
Newt, my only reservations about him were he's a CFR member and he voted for NAFTA or supported it. So that's in the past. But other than that, I think he's well spoken.
Yeah, you know what? Jason, I probably would hold that against him for voting for NAFTA or agreeing to do that under Bill Clinton, as the Republican House worked with Clinton to do a whole lot of things, actually, that most of the things came out on the side of the Republicans because they put more people back to work. It was like a give and take from that thing, too.
Yes.
But then again, I was young and I wasn't paying that much attention to the Republican side. But I do know that, if you want to be honest, the Republicans really pushed the agenda with that contract to America, but they had to give up something, and it turned out to be the NAFTA thing. But that was 20 years ago? 20 years ago?
Exactly, about 20 years ago. But I still think Newt would definitely help with writing speeches, and he's very good on foreign policy, and he's certainly a good sounding board for Trump.
Oh yeah, real good. Hey,
and I think that one of the things that people don't realize, back in those days, Newt Gingrich was broke. Newt Gingrich was working on his congressional salary. That's all he had. So he had to, be influenced by what we now know, the Chamber of Commerce. We didn't know it at that time, but we now know that that's the money that drives the Republicans in the Congress. And caller, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Michael, and I'm calling from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I am doing good.
Who is your VP pick for Donald Trump?
My VP pick for Donald Trump, I believe it's going to be Newt Gingrich. That's what I think it's going to be.
Okay.
That is my best guess because Newt has tons of experience in Washington, which Trump said he wanted. And Newt Gingrich can definitely get up there and debate on that debate stage and really go after Hillary, especially with the corruption that already took place. I think a lot of people are waking up to the corruption of the FBI Director Cooney and the Department of Justice Loretta Lynch basically covering up with Hillary, even though they stated that she broke the law, basically saying that Hillary's above the law and everybody else would be buried and arrested and under the jail.
You know, Mike, I think you're right on with that. I think that you touched a nerve there. Something that never touched Newt Gingrich is the corruption stink. He never got hit with the corruption stink. He got nailed a little bit.
Didn't he have that book?
Advance on a book.
Yeah.
That's what actually took him out.
Yeah, it did.
Of the speakership. But, you know, right after that, Hillary Clinton took a much bigger advance on a book that she wrote that nobody bought.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this year. I mean, I'm looking at it like I keep having so many different scenarios in my head, thinking, you know, this is an outsider year. This is we need somebody that's going to be that punch. But then at the end of the day, you got to sit back and think. We are going up against Hillary Clinton. We have to have the best of the best. Somebody that can get on that stage, that has knowledge, that has expertise. They may have some ugly stuff in the past. Yes, he may have, did stuff with NAFTA. We're going up against Hillary Clinton. We can't play games with a vice president. Nope. And when I look at all the names, and yes, I love the power punching of Allen West and how people respect him and fear him. When you look and see who is the one person that could go head to head with Hillary Clinton or with her vice president and basically just abolish them in a debate and has more expertise than them, it is Newt Gingrich. We can't play Russian roulette just to try to get an outsider and surprise everybody. We're going up against the Clintons, you guys. We got a lot to lose here if we don't get the best of the best in there. So when I look at the expertise and I look at the resume, knowledge, power, strength, knows the inside, knows both sides of the aisles, yes, has an ugly past, but who can go up against Hillary Clinton and who she's going to pick? It is, it just like it hit me while we were sitting here talking. Newt Gingrich. We can't play Russian roulette with the VP this year.
Yeah, right.
As the outsider. We cannot afford to make one mistake going into the general election at all.
I don't really think people are really even worried about Hillary's vice presidential pick. We really haven't heard, and nobody, we really haven't heard that many people. Who's she going to pick?
You know, I was thinking the same thing.
They're asking, they're looking now. They're thinking her VP can actually pull some of the same thing's happening on the left.
But what Democrat do you know?
Vice president.
The Democrat bench, Cam, the Democrat bench is so weak. Who do you even know by name that would be it?
No, that's why they're talking Castro. That's why they're talking King. They're trying to possibly get somebody to get the Bernie Sanders voters to bring in that middle person. Plus, they also want the Never Trump people. So they're doing the exact same thing that's happening over here. The right is trying to get the Sanders, the moderates, the people that don't like Hillary. Hillary Clinton's going to go for a vice president so she can get the Never Trumpers, and she can try to pull over some of the Bernie people back to her side. It's the same things happening on both sides. So vice president this year is actually is something that people are looking out for because they are the ones that can capture the opposite's attraction. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. And Wayne, I know you don't like doing the inside baseball stuff on the air, and I'll make it real easy. But we ought to do a show on the Never Trumpers. Okay. Because these people they're still out there.
Okay.
And they're still, let's do it. There's some prominent people that are still talking stupid.
We can do it. I mean,
if you don't think of anything else, think of the Supreme Court.
Right. No, I agree. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Wayne Dupree Show here on War Radio. We are America Radio, and also broadcasting live on the Right Side Broadcasting Network and Spreaker.com. We'll be back tomorrow night. I did want to remind everybody or let everybody know. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to be broadcasting, or we're going to try to broadcast audio through Right Side, because we got to pack up. We got to pack up the camera, and we got to pack up these things and get them to Cleveland to make sure that we're ready to go 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, live from Cleveland. So we're going to try out something so that everybody is still getting the show. Tomorrow night's guest is Scotty Nell Hughes from the Trump campaign. She's going to join us, and we're happy to have her with us tomorrow night. Cam, how can people reach out to you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Cam, KAMVTV.
And Hutch?
SteelCityResistance.blogspot.com. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. on Twitter, on Facebook rather, Berg's Eye View on Twitter, and on the Wayne Dupree program.
And I got a message from the Right Side Broadcasting Network production crew. There were some issues with the live stream tonight. It was going in and going out, but there will be a raw video of the crowd shots in a few hours. So if you stick with the Right Side Broadcasting Network tonight, they're going to upload some raw video of the crowd shots. So you'll be able to watch the panning of the event. Something happened earlier where things weren't able to turn out as they were supposed to, but Right Side corrected the issue, and they're going to be doing that for everybody tomorrow night, or tonight. So again, tomorrow night, Scotty Nell Hughes will be here. We're going to do audio Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to try that, and we look forward to having you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like the show on both Spreaker and YouTube. Let us know if you like the show. And if you want to email me at rsbn.tv, rsbn.tv. God bless you. We are out of here.
Just say no.